Hey guys, welcome to Mashable UK's Facebook Live. My name's Sam. We're here today chatting with Martin Freeman, star of the upcoming horror film Ghost Stories, which I believe is out in cinemas next Friday, is it?
I believe so.
Believe so, yeah, cool. Next Friday in cinemas. So we're going to be chatting a bit about the film with Martin, but the first thing I should say, if you do have any questions at all you'd like us to ask him, please do pop them down in the comments and we'll do our best to get to as many as we can at the end. So thanks for chatting to us, Martin.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, so to start with, for anyone who hasn't sort of seen a trailer or heard much about the film, could you just start by talking a bit about Ghost Stories, like what it's about and your role in it?
Well, it's about a man called Philip Goodman, who makes it his life's mission, I guess, to debunk belief in the supernatural. So he's played by Andy Nyman, who also co-wrote and co-directed the film with Jeremy Dyson. And he is fascinated with what people believe in and why people believe it. And he has sent 3 cases which are meant to challenge his belief that he goes to investigate. So this old man called Charles Cameron, who was a kind of sort of professor from the 70s, says, look, I know you think you can explain everything, but I'm sending you 3 examples of things that I can't explain. I want you to try and explain them and see if they're a rational explanation. So Philip Goodman goes around these 3 cases, and they each, to varying degree, increasingly challenge his belief that everything can be rationally explained. And I played one of those cases, a guy Mike Pribble, who has a terrible tale of a wife and child.
Yeah, it's an impressively atmospheric film. I was thinking after I watched it, I don't think I've seen you in too much like horror stuff before.
No, not too much. No.
So, how did you come to be involved in this project, and like, what was it about the script that kind of drew you in?
Well, I came to be involved because I knew Andy, and I knew Jeremy a bit over the years. But I'd just worked with Andy. We'd both done a BBC drama together as actors, and he sent me the script shortly afterwards and said, look, this is the screenplay of our play Ghost Stories. We'd like you to do this part in it. And I was just really impressed by the script. That was all. That was, it's kind of what always makes me decide one way or the other about whether I'm going to do something, is whether I think the script is interesting, whether the part is interesting. I mean, in a way, even more than the part, even more than the role, is the film interesting. And does it have a style, and does it have a voice which I think feels original and unique? And this one did. But with references and allusions to old Hammer films that I grew up watching. You know, Hammer films that were made, say, between the 50s and the 70s, that I grew up with, Jeremy grew up with, Andy grew up with, a few of our kind of generation. We're all quite familiar with that stuff. So it alludes to those things while having its own voice, and that's why I wanted to do it. And also just because I knew that Andy and Jeremy are lovely people, and as far as possible, you try and work with people who are going to be fun and easy, and I knew they would be. Okay, you mentioned it a bit there, but are you a big horror fan yourself? I am a horror fan, yeah. I mean, I'm a film fan. I think it's funny because our culture at the moment, I think, is very, very, very hung up on genre. Very hung up on genre. I think whenever film conversations happen now in a sort of an atmosphere of there's sci-fi and there's comedy and there's horror, and I think, well, come on. Certainly, if you're of my generation, you grew up watching telly and films, and they were all kinds of things, and some of them were different things, or some of them were a mixture of styles. What's Get Out? Is Get Out just a horror? It's not just a horror. Is it a social thing? It's a bit of everything. It's got comedic bits in it, and that's sort of, I think, what films are. Is what my favourite films are. Is they're just stories, and some of them are going to be, what's Psycho? Is Psycho a horror film, or is it a thriller? Is it,
This definitely has elements of that, doesn't it? It plays around with genre a bit.
It does, yeah. In a way that I think makes genre almost meaningless, actually, It's definitely got horror elements to it, like straight up horror elements to it. There are bits that are really funny. There are bits that are kind of psychoanalytical, like a lot of those films, again, that I'm talking about that we grew up with, that my generation grew up with, a lot of it's in your mind, where the greatest horror to be experienced in human life is the stuff in here, the stuff that is either real or imagined, but the stuff that's within us, because that stuff you can't escape from. You know, you can run away from a monster in a grave, but you cannot ostensibly run away from you. And so that's the stuff that makes things really, really scary.
Yeah, definitely. I think you kind of spoke about it a little bit earlier, but one thing I'm always impressed with you in your career is that I feel like you always choose really interesting films and kind of TV shows to get involved with. So I wanted to ask you a little, I mean, maybe it's just that you're in a lot of the stuff I like, but like, I wanted to ask you a bit about, and you touched on it before, like your process of like how you select what next project to work on. Like, what is your kind of selection process like?
Well, I like nothing more than reading scripts. I love it because every script that I'm sent, of course, I'm hoping I'll really like it, and I'm hoping I want to do it because I love working.
Do you read through a lot of scripts?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm very lucky. So let's get that very straight. I'm very fortunate because I read a lot of scripts of theatre, television, film, and of course just by the nature of what taste is, most things are not your taste. Most things in life you don't love, even if they're good. They're not really what rings your bell. And so it's a few things. It's would I like to see this as a punter? Have I seen this film 15 times already this year? Does it feel like it's been written by committee, or does it feel like a sort of authored voice? And how much does it chime with me, and how much is it a role that I feel I can add something to? Sometimes you read something and you think, this is good, and the role that I've got is good, but I can think of 3 actors who would do this better than I would.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't always make me say no, because I think, well, that's the way you challenge yourself, is by doing things that you think, I'm not sure I'll be very good at this, but it might. This is one of those. This is one of those where I think I could fail with this, but it's worth a go, and Andy and Jeremy had complete faith in me, which was delightful. But,
so you like challenging yourself in many ways.
Yeah, because that's how you it's how you grow, So this isn't a role I've played a million times before.
Okay.
So yeah, there are several elements to my decision-making process, but I'm lucky to have a decision-making process because it means I can say no to things.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess the first thing I saw you in, I remember, was The Office, which must have been like 15 years ago. And I feel like since then your career's been on a pretty good, like steady upward trajectory, which is pretty hard, I guess, to do in the industry. And was there like almost a point when you looked back when you thought like, yes, this is it, I've made it, or has it been more of a kind of gradual process?
I mean, bits of yes and no. There are times when you genuinely feel you have not made anything, and you've always got more to prove. And there are other times where, if you're being completely honest and not overly modest, you think, no, for now I'm safe-ish. As safe as you can be as a self-employed actor, because you all are also aware that it can go tomorrow. And there's no warning. You won't know, but no one says, oh, by the way, you've got 5 minutes left. You can be on the downward part of the hill, and no one will have told you. The phone just won't have rung for 6 months. And it's then maybe I'm on the downside. But I think because I didn't have a sort of stratospheric beginning to my career, I wasn't like one of those people, that happens very occasionally. They leave drama school and in the next 6 months they're a star. That happens very occasionally. I didn't have one of those. I've been very lucky, but I didn't. It wasn't that. It's always been kind of manageable, I suppose. I've had great success, fortunately, but it's not been those big spikes, you know what I mean? As you say, it's felt like a kind of steady trajectory, that I'm able to handle, rather than a sort of being on a roller coaster that's out of control. Yeah.
Okay. Do you get like, as an actor, do you get nervous about how like a film or a new TV show is going to be sort of received by the public and critics? Or? Yeah,
to a certain extent. I mean, nothing in my world, nothing comes close to matching the nerves of opening a play. So the first time you find yourself on a stage in front of an audience is terrifying. That's frightening, So nothing really beats that for nerves. For instance, Ghost Story's coming out. I'm very anxious that people. No, that's not even true. I don't feel genuine anxiety the way you do when you're opening a play. I'm very hopeful. I'm wishful and hopeful is what I am. And you're always disappointed if something you like doesn't fly, or just doesn't really get responded to by people. But it's not the terror of opening a play. So I think once you've opened a play or two, as I have, it's everything else is handleable, you know. Because
That makes
also,
sense.
once you've made a film or a TV show, it's been out of your hand for months. For months, you've had nothing to do with it, pretty much. So then it's just given over to people. All you can do is hope people like it.
Mm.
And so that's the state I'm in now. I hope people like ghost stories, you know. And if they do, fantastic. If they don't, that's a big shame for us.
Well, I mean, I liked it, so that's
Thank
a
you.
good start.
Thank
But, so I think we've got a couple more minutes left, so is it alright to jump across to some Facebook questions?
Yeah, go for it right ahead. So, Liza asks, are you still in contact with the guys from the office?
Very occasionally. I mean, I bump into them once in a while, but not mega in touch. I mean, I'm always very pleased when I know they're doing well. Like, yeah, Mackenzie Crook's just got a nomination for directing Detectress, which I'm delighted about. So no, you know, when people are all doing well, I'm very pleased. But no, we don't hang out an awful lot. No.
I got one from Lucrezia, who asks about your new project called Cargo.
Oh,
And, is it a horror movie?
It's got horror elements to it. I think that's coming out on Netflix, and I think a very limited theatre release. I think in June, and we shot it in Australia about 18 months ago. And we shot in the outback, and it's definitely got spooky elements to it. It's a sort of, there is a post-apocalyptic thread to it, and a sort of family. You know, I play a father in it who is struggling to get his daughter to safety in it. Yeah.
Cool. I think maybe time for one more quick question, and then one more.
Okay, so Jamie asks, which of your projects or roles are you the most proud of, or you feel the best about?
Well, as I said, I've been very lucky. So I've done a few. I've done you know, at the time. I mean, I guess when things are to my taste, that's when they chime with me. When I know I would like them as a viewer, I'm very glad to have been in them. I know I would have liked The Office as a viewer. I know I would like Sherlock. I would like Fargo. You know, I'd like Black Panther. So there's several, but when I'm really proud of stuff, it's just that I've been in something that I know I would like as a punter.
Okay, great. I think we're going to have to wrap it up there, but thanks so much for chatting
You're
to
very
us.
welcome. Thank
and
you.
please do check out Ghost Stories out in the cinema next week.